Hello, everyone. Welcome to PWRN, Passionate World Radio Network. I am your host, Kim Weiller, and you are listening to my show, Taking Control of Our Health. I am so excited today to be interviewing my very first guest, and what a special one. Her name is Jennifer Phillips. She's a professional artist and a certified holistic health and empowerment coach. She's the proud founder of So Global Consulting and the creator of a new project that's in development at the moment called The Curiosity Cure. As a health coach, her mission is to help people creatively tap into their intuition and start taking action on what their soul is calling them to do. She specializes in healing psoriasis after having healed herself after 30 long years, all through nutrition and self-love. As you guys can imagine, my listeners, that this girl is my soul sister, my psoriasis thriving soul sister. So Jen, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. It's so great to have you.
Oh my gosh, Kim, I'm so thrilled. And you should see the grin on my face right now. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. And you know what, I didn't mention your most important job on this earth, which is that you're a mother of the most beautiful little girl.
Yes, she is my masterpiece in terms of creating in this world.
I love that. How old is she?
She is a healthy 5-year-old, and I am she's my world. She is literally the light that shines through me every single day. So yeah.
Oh, that's the best age too.
Yeah, it is. She's super fun. She keeps me rooted in such play, which is seriously like the foundation for such a yummy existence in this world. So I'm so excited to be a mom, and it was such a wonderful transition, especially being that it was a later stage in my life. So it was kind of a fun gig.
Oh, that's so great. Is that what made you transition from your profession as an artist to become an integrative nutrition health coach?
Well, it definitely led me, just on that path. I had, being a mom and being creative, I was also really, how do I say it? When I had Avery, I was, of course, thrilled as a mom to be a new mom, but I was also overwhelmed with all the feelings and of course, the transition into my new role, right? And I had a lot of health issues after having Avery over about a year. And it kind of helped me, unfortunately, hit a little bit of a rock bottom in my life in terms of how I was feeling. And basically, to make a long story short, I discovered some things to really help me feel good. And it really turned up the volume on my curiosity as to how to make an impact in my life, especially around psoriasis, et cetera. So I just started digging a little deeper and found some answers to help discover, again, how to feel good. And it kind of catapulted me into wanting to share that journey with people in a creative way, because I haven't really left my artistic self behind. There wasn't really an official transition other than just kind of being super self-aware for the need to press pause on that the creative, going to the studio part of my life and actively painting. But transitioning into this world of a health coach has really just opened my eyes to the reason why I'm here and discovering more of my purpose. And it's shown up in other areas of my life, but until I realized that I could make such a huge impact on my own life in terms of my own health and taking back control of my healthcare, but also in the lives of others, that I was really able to step into my purpose. And that's just to be here to serve others and show up for people and share my experiences. So I do that now through health coaching and helping people reach their goals.
Wow. That's so beautiful. I love what you said about pressing pause, that it enabled you, it brought you to do that, because so many people, we don't really do that until we kind of have to do that,
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation earlier with somebody who is really sick, and he's 54 years old, and it really took him all this time. It took him hitting rock bottom to start to make diet and lifestyle changes. And now he's doing that because he has to. But it was such an interesting conversation, because I think that's what most people do, is they kind of go about their day. They're kind of on autopilot. They don't really take that time to press pause, to really think about what they really, really need as far as self-care.
Oh, absolutely.
And then something happens, whether like you and me, you know, we develop psoriasis, or maybe people get depressed or fatigue or aching or in pain, or, you know, whatever it is for them. But I just love what you said there, because that's what I think we have in common, that we're teaching people, is to take that pause, to really take care of you and make it a priority, to make.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're speaking my language, girl.
I know. We are soul sisters, you and I.
Yes, yes. And I have to go back to what you said too. I mean, it's such a life lesson for me. And motherhood, honestly, is what showed me the importance and the necessity, the essence of really discovering my own self-awareness was such a beautiful gift. Before that, I was that person. Before becoming a mom, I was that run myself into the ground girl. And I physically definitely noticed my own suffering, right? But I didn't really know the importance of how to take care of that. And it wasn't until becoming a mom, wow, it was very obvious to me that A, I needed to learn how to ask for help. I was always a do-it-myselfer. And B, was to put myself first in life and really make myself a priority. And to fast forward the whole journey into this one moment for you, I literally live to show my daughter exactly, like, to model that for her, so that she can live her own journey, empowered to see the value in loving herself first and putting herself first. And, like we all talk about, making sure your cup is full so that you have more to give others, including, yourself.
Oh my gosh, your daughter, you're just such a beautiful role model for her. I love that she's going to grow up with that, because I was going to save this for later, but I'll just mention it to everybody now. Jen is a guest speaker for a wellness panel of women that I put together called the Love Group. So it's this group that is going to be traveling around to schools and camps and colleges and organizations like the Girl Scouts to speak to young girls about everything: health, food, fitness, style, beauty, body image, self-acceptance, most of all, self-love, what you're teaching your daughter. Jen is one of my guest speakers, and our whole goal is to give these girls the tools they need to have confidence so they can go out into the world and just go after their dreams, And I'm so excited that we can make this, like you're making this impact with your daughter every single day. I just think that's the most beautiful thing. And I can't wait till you and I are actually, which will be very soon, going out there and making this impact on millions of young girls together. What kind, you probably express this message in your own ways, shapes and forms with your daughter every day, but what kind of message do you have for these young girls?
Oh, wow. Yes. I'm super excited to be part of this, Kim. But really, ultimately, I think everything comes down to that whole message of first love yourself. And it's really all about spending time with yourself. Like, even when you're younger, just getting to know who you really are and really fall in love with yourself at your core. Because when we can tap into the power of who we really are at our core and not just live into what others think we should be, the world completely aligns with your truest, authentic self, and life gets super juicy. So I always tell my clients, like, be fierce, be brave, but ultimately in life, you always just be you and really listen to that inner voice, your intuition, to guide you along the way.
That's such beautiful advice. Do you ever have any resistance from clients? Because I can imagine these young girls saying, how do I do that? How do I get to know myself?
Yeah, yeah. Resistance is actually so necessary. And in terms of working with even just adults, I mean, I want people to show up with the resistance, because it's in the resistance that we grow. That's where the personal growth is. When you bring to the table, what you're challenged with, we get to ask those important questions that can guide you to answers. But as far as, a younger mind, I have to actually reference, my own state of being. When I was in high school, I was very vulnerable and I had psoriasis. I was definitely self-conscious many ways. And I looked outside of myself for validation and for love, for acceptance. It's such a tender age, right, to be in that state. And my message to those that are in that part of their life is to, again, just really don't shy away from spending quality time with you, to find out what makes your heart sing and puts a smile on your face, and just look to yourself to gain that fulfillment, that inner fulfillment, and be authentically you.
You totally hit something in me just now that resonated with me, because like you, I was in high school with psoriasis,
Mm-hmm.
and constantly looking outside of myself for approval and love and acceptance. And
Yes.
I never ever got it. But the thing is I never knew that I could look to myself for that. I never knew that I was the one in control of that the whole time.
Right.
So I am beyond thrilled that you're on, and honored that you're on this team, because these young girls, they need your voice, they need your words, they need to hear this from you and from me and from the team we've put together,
Mm-hmm.
that they do have that control, and it's just a matter of making that effort and exercising that muscle, and just
Absolutely.
knowing. Yeah, and just knowing that too. I think being told that, like when you're that age, you're just kind of in it, and you're just kind of you're definitely very vulnerable and insecure and trying to find your way. And
Yeah.
it's so hard. You kind of do just go along with things. And
Yeah. Well, it's such a gift too, the whole concept of the love group, being able to bring information like this to a younger mind, right? Because I think I would have thrived in a different way had I had somebody in my life to have those types of more tender, I would say, conversations, or reminders that the possibility does exist, to do it a different way, right? And we're here to from a coaching standpoint, and from the standpoint of being part of the love group, I really think we're messengers, but we are also here to deliver possibility, to put it out on the table and show people what is possible. And then it's obviously, it's up to them. It's all about the intentional action, right? And implementing new things to create a result in your life.
Yeah. And to like you said, the possibilities, and showing them those and giving them the tools, because having all these random tools and techniques that, we both now have in our toolbox, they really, I mean, I have my own positivity practice that I've shared with a bunch of high school kids, and I got such great feedback from them because they now had tools to look at things a little differently, and a little bit more, to become a more positive person, and not label, to see the good, because when you look for the good, you find the good. When you look for the bad, you find the bad. And
Absolutely.
Now they had these tools to actually go out and look for the good, and be conscious of that, and be more mindful, and just. There's so much to delve into here. So I'm going to point us in a different direction for a moment, because I know that the people listening on on my last podcast, I had let everybody know that you were I was going to be interviewing you, and I promised them that we would delve into everything from diet to self-love and to your secret weapon to find joy and happiness in this life, which we'll get to. So, so let's maybe go back to, just delving into diet. Diet and self-love. I would love for you to tell the listeners how you healed your psoriasis.
Oh yeah. Wow. Quite a journey, right? So just a little back history, I had psoriasis for over 30 years. And I kind of, long story short, sort of settled for my diagnosis. I just didn't know better. And I walked in and out of each doctor appointment essentially completely deflated with, no hope for a cure. And, there was no possibilities presented to me. I was just handed a prescription. And so I kind of just led my life as I'm Jennifer with psoriasis. And, I found my way. I can't say that I let it completely control me, but I definitely let it shape me into who I am today, which is, or who I was, especially in high school, which was really insecure, right? And so fast forwarding to becoming a mom and sort of discovering that I was having some health issues after having a baby, I just got really curious, but I wasn't curious until I had a pivotal moment happen. And it was, honestly, first of all, I was totally out of energy, not sleeping, the typical mom. I didn't feel good. I was so moody and sad, and I just wasn't myself. And luckily, my best friend at the time, again, did that concept of offering some possibility, some hope, a light at the end of the tunnel. And literally, this is the cheesy part, but she handed me a vitamin. And I ate this vitamin and my life like completely 180'd in like 20 minutes. I was like happy, crying happy tears. I had no idea why I was complaining before. And that was when my curiosity button like turned up the volume. I was just so ready to discover what it was that I took, because I felt so extremely happy, and why it was affecting me so beautifully, right? So the journey began. Literally, it was in that moment. I made an appointment with a naturopath. I started discovering more possibility for healing. But because I was able to help myself start feeling good, I was like, dang, can I make a difference with this psoriasis? I want to get rid of this thing. I've had it for way too long. And so with, some guidance from my naturopath at the time, I learned some techniques on how to implement some subtle lifestyle changes, and of course, changes to my diet that completely changed my life forever. And I just only wish I discovered it sooner. And that's why I'm here today, to kind of help spread that, that amazing energy, because I want people to know the possibility exists. I know you're familiar with this, but, given half the chance, our body wants to heal itself by itself. And I experienced that. So I guess looking back at it, it's a short period of time, but when you're in it, it feels so long. But over about a 6-month-ish period of time, I jumped in and out of different elimination diets, followed autoimmune protocols, and slowly began to transition my eating habits into much better ones, because I was that typical SAD diet, the standard American diet, growing up in the Midwest with meat, potatoes, and lots of processed foods and canned goods, etc. But as I made that gentle shift into eating the foods that made my body thrive and feel good, man, 6 months in, I started noticing, the psoriasis patches getting lighter and disappearing. And because I started seeing those results, can you imagine the motivation to keep going? I was like, this is amazing. Yeah. So it was just all about discovering, the unique ingredients really in my own personal healing recipe, because every body is different. And it was all about being extremely curious and experimenting on myself to discover what was going to help my body really thrive. So.
Yeah. What were some of the, I have 2 questions for you. One was, I want to know what the vitamin was. And the second question is, tell us, just some of the things that became staples in your diet, your new diet.
Oh yeah. Good questions. Well, the pivotal the pivotal moment where I found my happiness at the bottom of a vitamin bottle was,
Are you sure it was a
honestly,
vitamin?
it was a vitamin. I know, right? It didn't feel like one. Cause I never took them before. It was just really weird. So, it was a vitamin B, which is like the gatekeeper to energy, but especially if you are depleted, right, in that particular vitamin. So I learned, after taking that one, I did the whole test, don't guess, scenario. So we ran some labs, and I was severely depleted in vitamin B, D,
Wow.
A, some essential key ingredients to, making your body function like it's supposed to.
Right.
And so in breastfeeding did that a lot of that, but I'm sure a lot of my life choices prior to becoming a mom also were contributing. But so once I discovered that, then it was all about, well, there was a little tiny journey in there with where I was really focused on taking supplements to help feel good faster. So I'm very, I love suggesting supplements to people in order to kind of catapult them into feeling better first. And then, of course, at the same time, transitioning into a healthier lifestyle with food and making food be, the vitamin choice of, first and foremost. So nowadays I am focused mainly on eating a whole foods diet with lots and lots of yummy vegetables. I juice as well as focusing on, I do still do meat. I have some protein in there as well. But now on my plate, instead of thinking about my plate as like getting a protein and some vegetables and then lots of carbs, I am now just like half my plate is at least vegetables. And then I've got a little bit of protein, and sometimes I'll throw in some grains. Because of the autoimmune scenario, I still kind of am experimenting with how grains affect, my skin and how I'm feeling. So so it's been an incredible shift.
And it really is, it's wonderful that you have figured out what works for you. And, at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, where we both went, learning about bioindividuality was so new to me, because when I first healed my skin through diet, I was like, oh my gosh, everybody needs to do what I'm doing.
Right. I know, right?
And then, but I really do understand now that, what works for me may not work for you. So, even though my body loves kale, like I know plenty of people who just bodies can't stand it. They can't digest it. It's that was fascinating though, about that your body, you were so low in vitamin B and you didn't know that. Because when I was, before I started to heal my psoriasis, my whole life just kind of went to, typical vitamin stores and would buy anything off the shelf that I would read about that they would say would help psoriasis. So I would buy fish oil, I would buy vitamin D. I mean, whatever I read about, I bought. And then later on, going to a naturopath like you, I learned that I could be tested to see not even through blood work, but even just through a naturopath, not in an abrasive way, just get tested to see what my body actually needed. And it was doing that I learned that the vitamins I was buying and taking for years and spending all that money weren't doing anything to my body at all.
Wow.
And that probably was because that they were synthetic, where now I buy vitamins from actual, really reputable companies that, they're made with whole foods, and they're not made in a laboratory. They come directly from the plant. So it's so wonderful to have that now, because I feel like I have the best energy I've ever had. And I know it's not just from what I eat and my self-care, but a lot of it also is that I'm on the right supplement program now.
Yes. Oh, that's so important.
Yeah.
So important. Yeah. I agree with all that.
So, I know when you and I loved her, and Jen and I went to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, not together, but we both attended there. And she had randomly reached out to me via email to connect. And Jen, I'll never forget your email, because it was so sweet. It really touched me. It reminded me so much of me. And I think it's rare that people just reach out to strangers, and it's totally something I would do. But you just never know what you could create. And I mean, look at the beautiful friendship we now have. I'm just
Absolutely.
so happy you reached out. But when she reached out, she was like, oh my gosh, we're like the same. I don't think you said this, but but we realized that we just had so much in common. It was like we were the same person.
Really, I believe, yeah, we're both on opposite coasts, and I just believe that we're connected by this amazing, beautiful energy that the universe had just connected us naturally. It was all synchronistic.
100%.
Yeah.
And we both talked about how we teach healing through nutrition and self-love. So I just wanted to just talk to you about the self-love, self-care aspect of your healing, and what that is for you and why it's so important for your healing.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously I'm going to be preaching to the choir here, but self-love it is the most vital component to, self-discovery and leading a nutritious life. And for me specifically, again, it's a muscle. Like, I have to constantly exercise it and stay so self-aware that, because I can easily slip back into my busy self, busy mom, building a business, a creative mind, going in millions of directions. It's easy to forget to put yourself first. And it's through that power of continually tapping into your practice of really paying attention to you that you can foster a healthy experience in your life. And I'm just, again, with all my clients and just this language that I speak, I am so such an advocate for encouraging people to lead each day with this one question: how do I want to feel? And I just believe that if you can tap into what it is that makes you feel good every single day, you are automatically doing an act of self-love.
Oh my gosh. I just love that so much, because it really is. It's like you're setting an intention each day
Absolutely.
to nourish the qualities that you want to nourish.
Yeah. And it's like keeping, I kind of look at nutrition as a wheel. So in the center of the wheel, you have, your nutritional elements, the diet, et cetera. And the exterior part of the wheel is the foundation. And it needs to be solid, right? In order to have a smooth ride or smooth journey. So in between there, that holds those two parts together, are all the spokes, right? And the spokes, if they're untrue on that wheel, you're going to have a wobbly wheel, right? You're going to have a specific kind of journey. And one of those spokes specifically is that component of self-love. And it's something that needs to be attended to.
Oh, I just love that so much. And I have to tell you, we're kind of running out of time, so I'm going to wrap it up. But yeah. I feel like you just touched the surface of self-love. I feel like we could totally delve into that way more. So why don't I would love to have you back sometime. Would you like to come back?
I would so love that. We could talk forever.
I know. So next time we come back, I want to delve more into self-love and self-care, and really help maybe even give people ideas of how they can go about, making their happiness their priority. And I'm so curious about the curiosity cure.
Oh.
and anything you can tell us about that. So maybe there'll be more for you to share the next time you come on.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity today. I appreciate it.
Oh, Jen, it's been so wonderful having you on. And I really appreciate you taking the time away from your family to do this with me today. So thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So Jen, can you tell everyone listening where they can find you?
Absolutely. I'd love to. So you can find me right now on the internet at Jennifer Phillips. That's JenniferPhillips HHC.com. And there on my website too, you can sign up to, currently you can get a free sugar detox guide. And also you can follow me on, I encourage you to follow me on all of the social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram, currently at Jennifer Phillips HHC. And there I talk about everything nutritious and soulfully delicious.
So I also want to thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this interview with Jen as much as I did. If anyone has any questions, you can contact me at kim@healingmyskin.com. And to listen to the show, you can go to Passionate World Radio Network, or you can find it on iTunes by typing in my name, Kim Weiller, Weiler, Healing My Skin. And you can also find my book, P.S. It's All About Love, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Outskirts Press. This is your host, Kim Weiller, with Taking Control of Our Health on PWR Network. Thank you so much for listening.